Hey rockers, welcome back to the channel. I appreciate every one of you guys' support. Thank you so much. I hope you'll subscribe to the channel, give it a like if you enjoy this video, and leave a comment if you want. Back again on a freezing cold night here in Southern Oregon, and I thought of a story today while I was at my chiropractor's office about Rick Derringer. And it's not a very long story, but it's a funny one. And I was dying laughing in the car just thinking about what happened the night we saw Rick Derringer in East Peoria, Illinois. It was a good one, man, my friends. Just a little history of Rick Derringer in case you don't know. Remember the song, Rock and Roll Hoochie Coo, Lordy Mama Light My Fuse? That's Rick Derringer. But Rick Derringer is an American producer, musician, songwriter who first gained notoriety in the 1960s with his band, the McCoys. In 1965, they had a #1 hit with the song, Hang On Sloopy, Sloopy Hang On. Big song, man. Well, then Johnny Winter came along and said, I need a band. And those guys were like, okay. And so Johnny Winter started a band called Johnny Winter and that meant and the McCoys with Rick Derringer. And man, if you've ever heard that Johnny Winter album called Johnny Winter and live, one of the best live albums ever released, my friends. What a great one, man. Rick Derringer, he played on a lot of people's records. He produced a lot of people. He played guitar on a couple Steely Dan songs such as Showbiz Kids and Chain Lightning. He also played guitar on the hit song by Johnny Winter, Frankenstein, one of the coolest instrumental songs ever. Wait a minute, that's Edgar Winter. My bad. Frankenstein, man, what a great tune. And that's Rick Derringer on the guitar. I got to slow the hell down or I'll get ahead of myself and start giving wrong information again. Basically, Rick Derringer was always one of those guys that I just loved. 1973 Rock and Roll Hoochie Coo was such a huge hit. Still played on classic rock radio all the time. And I got to tell you, we were hanging out in East Peoria, Illinois with my ex-bass player, Lincoln Eads, a.k.a. Lincoln Log, who was the bass player for 5 years in my band, Bloody the Transfusions in Central Illinois. Lincoln passed away at the age of 41, sadly. He was in a tragic car wreck. Man, I gotta tell you, man, I really miss the guy. He had a great sense of humor, great sense of taste in music, was a fun guy, just really talented on the bass, and you can hear him on the 2006, or was it 2007? 2006 Bloody the Transfusions album, which you can hear on my other channel, The Church of Rock, all one word. I got to tell you something, man. One night we were going out partying, East Peoria, Illinois. Lincoln said, hey, man, I'll meet you there. Rick Derringer's playing. Can't wait. And so we got there, and Lincoln was in a bad mood. I'm not sure what was going on or why he was in such a bad mood that night, but he was in a really obnoxious mood. He wasn't feeling too good, I could tell, because I knew him very well after being in a band with him for half a decade. And he wasn't doing right upstairs. He was kind of having issues, and I was like, poor Lincoln, what's going on with him? And then he walks up to me. We're all partying, this little venue in East Peoria that I can't remember for the life of me. It was sometime between 2004, 2005, and 2006, 2007. I don't know for sure. Tried to do my research, couldn't find it. If you remember, leave it in the comments below because I'd love to know. Doesn't really matter. It was a small venue, East Peoria, Illinois. The place was freaking packed. And there was a big stage right in the middle of this big empty like warehouse with people everywhere. And then they had, of course, beer. But we lost Lincoln, and then we saw him again later, and he walks up to me, and he's even in more of a kind of a foul mood. And he says, hey, man, I'm going to get up there and sing with the band. And we're all laughing at him like, yeah, okay, you're going to go sing with the band, right? So we're up there watching Rick Derringer, and he's just kicking ass. And next thing you know, we lose Lincoln. Don't know where he went. We kept looking for him, couldn't find him. Next thing I know, somebody taps me on the shoulder right in the middle of Rock and Roll Hoochie Coo. The band's up there rocking. Someone says, Bloody, your bass player's on stage singing with Rick Derringer. I'm like, oh my gosh, he did it. So we scrambled to the stage, looked up. Sure enough, there's Lincoln with a blue mohawk standing there at one of the microphones that Rick Derringer wasn't singing out of, and he was doing backing vocals. I looked at Rick, and his face was priceless. He was completely freaking out like, who's this guy? And everyone in the band was doing the same thing, probably thinking maybe Rick invited him up here. I don't know who this guy is with the blue mohawk singing backups to Rock and Roll Hoochie Coo. We started pissing ourselves with laughter. I couldn't believe that he had the balls to do it. He literally just walked up on the side of the stage or something, walked up like he owned the joint, probably had a few beers in him, and said, "I'm singing now." And that's what he did because he was in a pissy mood. He thought, I'll get even with the world and I'm going to sing with Rick Derringer. And I got to give it to Lincoln. He did it, man. I got to say, that guy was a champ. I loved Lincoln Log. I met him at a Motorhead show, and we started a band called the Transfusions together with Billy the Kid. What a great band that was, man. Later on, of course, we had Johnny G String on guitar and Dave Moe on guitar. But that's another story. I tell you, man, seeing Lincoln up there with Rick Derringer cracked me up, man. Who does that? You don't just walk up to a major concert performer or a big name like that and just jump on stage and decide you're going to freaking sing, but Lincoln did. And that's really all I have to say about it. When he got off stage, I don't remember what he said, but at some point or another, somebody kind of got him by the arm and kind of said, "Hey, dude, you got to go off the stage." It was crazy, dude. And I actually had photos, but those photos burned in the 2020 Alameda fires that happened through Northern California and Southern Oregon. I will be back soon with more tales of rock and roll, punk rock, heavy metal, and some curveball stories. Rest in peace, Lincoln Log. Keep rocking, Rick Derringer. I heard he's slowed down. I'm sure at his age it's harder to go out and tour all the time. I don't know much about Rick really, except that he's still rocking somewhere. And I hope you are having a great weekend. My friends, thanks for being here. Cheers.